Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're gonna like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy.
Okay, I told you that I had joined Mensa to see if there were any, particular membership benefits or anything like that. Did I tell you that I went to meet up with a couple? We stopped in, Katie and I made a quick run through the convention one time.
I
just
remember
to see what
this
was there.
part. Yeah.
But
And we talked about, I think it was basically, did it get you discounts on brainy games or whatever? You weren't.
they have games. They had a 24-hour board game tournament going, and they kind of approved their own games. But we didn't participate. We just kind of wanted to see what was there.
Yeah,
so we were in and out. But coming back home, I said, maybe I was hasty whenever I said this isn't for me. Maybe I should revisit. So I joined up with some of the state people, and they do a restaurant tour, and they send out an email, and everybody goes. So it's just total strangers, and I went and sat down. It was kind of cool.
I want to do this before we get into your dinner with the state Mensa people. Okay, can you just join because you paid $50 and fill out a form, or do you have to take a test? How do they vet you? Because you're smart enough to be Mensa, but I mean, I'm not. So if I wander in, are they going to immediately be bro?
You have to meet some IQ standard, and if you don't already have a test for that, which if you weren't in public schools, then you wouldn't have that. Then they have a test that you can take.
Okay.
It's a little harder to do well on those the older you get, because brain cells just don't perform the way they should.
I know.
But you would totally do fine on that test if you chose to take it. But now that I've told you there's not particular coupons or board game prizes or anything, you may not want to. But yeah, they have a test. They have a person who actually goes around and gives the test periodically. So in each state, it's I'm the state Mensa test giver or whatever. Here's the testing dates that we have. She was at the dinner.
Dang. All right. Okay.
Yeah. So you could sign up. It's not too late. I had some scores from school,
that's cool.
Elementary school actually, and I was like, "Hey, do you guys just these paper records work?" And they're like, "Yeah, send it in." Which was where I was like, "Oh, anybody who's willing to write a check is going to get into this club."
Well, and I love that you're your little elementary school self, which, you're just all fresh and, just bright-eyed, bushy-tailed little Hayley, in elementary school. Everything's still working perfectly into the brain cell. That's the time to do it, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you.
I missed that little window.
Before I've corrupted
thanks,
all the
Mead.
files. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tim, everybody in our in the public schools takes that test. At the time, it was maybe second grade, and then if you did well, they would test a certain select few in the third grade. It was I hated some of it hinged on teacher referrals. And
Oh.
so if you were a kid who was accelerated in your reading or spoke up a lot in class, you're more likely to get. And I hate that because some of the real brainiacs.
Are they quiet and
Yeah,
introverted?
or if you happen to, off the charts IQ, but you maybe are dyslexic.
Yes.
Well, you're going to slip through the cracks and
Yep.
you're going to miss that early testing. But they would continue to test each year and some could get picked up. So that's how that happened. But anyway, I go to the lunch and there's all types, right?
Uh-huh.
Like some more social than others, yet we all showed up at this table full of people that we don't especially know. They go to a different restaurant each month, which is really cute. They
Yeah.
expand their worldview through their palate.
This actually, sadly, I think I would really enjoy this. Like, I'm
That's-
not even going to lie.
Yes. And I enjoyed it too because I didn't know anybody there, and it's like, hey, and in casual conversation.
Is there like a speaker that like gets up and they're like, okay, this month we're going to talk about this, and there's like a little like guest speakery type of thing, or is it literally we're going to sit across a table from each other and just chat?
I think both. I haven't been to one where they had the activities or the speakers, but I think sometimes they arrange that if it happens to be convenient or if somebody's got something. They met and went to a theater one time, one of the community theaters around because they were doing a particular show, and so several of them got together and went. Maybe this kind of dovetails with how to make friends as adults. You got to join some clubs.
Yeah. It's like church or Mensa, man. This is what we've come up with.
Yeah, my mother is constantly looking for something to do so that her obituary will have some substance to it. Like at one point she joined a wood carvers association. She's very artsy, so she could actually do those sorts of things. And she's like, don't forget about this. And I was like, you better be keeping notes.
Yeah.
Like,
Hey,
I'm not
at
gonna
that point,
remember.
like write your own a bit.
Yes, just go ahead and have it
Obit?
scripted.
Yeah.
Yes, have it scripted, and
Yeah.
I like make sure I know where it's at. I will get it into the newspaper. But, like I've written a couple people's, and people don't always keep up with what they've done and what
Yeah.
they're good at.
That's true.
My dad could fly an airplane. That's always a good line. If you can fly an airplane, put that in your obituary.
Well, and dude, your dad also. I swear, when I think of the story you told about your dad,
Which one? I have told many.
No, the one you told on this podcast. I see a movie. Because I'm the worst at remembering names, but you know the great big guy who was the Bible salesman in "Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?" Famous actor John Goodman.
Oh yeah.
That's your dad. I've already decided. Like I see him coming to the door like naked when you knock at the door. But then like, anyways, I really do see like the story of like tracking down, like being asked by the government to track down law enforcement officers that are doing bad things in sort of an undercover way, and they're like paying him through a fake disability check. Dude, I love that whole thing. Like that. If it's not an entire movie, it's definitely an episode in something. And I can
Saturday Night Live skit.
No. Like I can just see it any which way.
You got to put the bicycle guy kissing my hand
Yeah.
whenever he found out that
That's right. We've added
that's
some
your
more
dad.
layers,
He's still
right?
alive. Like that one would have to be added to it.
Yeah, or the lady, the black lady who was like, "Hey, listen,
He was actually a good
he was
person.
actually a good guy." Like I love that stuff.
That was nice to hear, as well as, I mean, finding out, him telling me about being able to fly an airplane and things like that. It was nice to hear good things about this person that I'd, had maybe not such.
Yeah.
But the Mensa folks, okay, all types, like I said, they knew, several of them knew each other. Some of us were strangers to the table, but they're like, cool, we're all here for the same reason. So obviously we've got things we could talk about. The guy next to me, he's like, where are you from? And I've been there. I was about an hour and a half away from my house, by the way. So nobody else, was from where I was. But he had been there because we have they call it the state school, and it is where mentally handicapped people, it's an institution for mentally challenged people.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, they let us parachute out of an airplane for entertainment for the state school one time. And I was like, what a nice thing for you to do. I'm not sure that I'm jumping out of an airplane for anybody.
For anybody,
but he just did it for the residents at the state school. The lady across the table, as a hobby, had signed up with a water purity testing. I think she said she was volunteer, but they were going around and kind of just testing the waters in our local rivers and streams to see. Yeah. And she's like telling me what counties not to be swimming in, which was
yeah, right.
Probably any of them. Since we were meeting in Jackson, and we've talked about how they have no, access to water issues currently, and this was before that even kind of fell apart. She was actually talking about what's flowing through our waterways and
that's information I'm not sure you really want to know until it reaches the level of like, now it's going to kill you. Like in Jackson, it was like, yeah, this water will actually kill you. By the way, didn't they resolved? Question mark. They resolved this.
I don't know
issue?
That they will ever resolve it. It's their pipes. The infrastructure is the issue.
So
are you talking about Jackson's water?
Jackson's water. Like you can now drink water in Jackson out of the tap.
Maybe? I don't think so.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
I don't think it's advisable. There are certain neighborhoods, as recently as January. Well, when the pipes freeze, obviously it's an issue for everyone, and you've got boil water notices. But I think there's some communities in Jackson that probably don't have good water no matter what.
Yeah. Okay.
And I don't think that those communities are necessarily featured on news segments. There are crimes that go unreported in those same neighborhoods. The police are not really.
Yeah,
there's nothing much they can do. It's kind of like the Wild West. These couple of neighborhoods, and they're just.
Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.